Incoming transmission.
Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel, guys. My name is Fifine. Please hit the subscribe button if you like this video. Today we're going to be looking at artworks done in ink. This will include Inktober 2019 and some other more sketchy work from that year. We will also be looking at some of the products I used. We'll also be looking at my art process and how I get to my final outcomes, good or bad. So grab a cup of tea, guys. We're going to take a look at some of these artworks. So let's take a look at some of the products I used for these pieces. First we have Sumi ink, then we have some silver acrylic ink. I'm really paranoid about them accidentally opening here. Red calligraphy ink. We also have a selection of Posca pens and fine liners, and this is what I primarily use in most of these pieces. I'll be linking some of these products in the description below, as well as some of the papers that I've used throughout this process. Okay, so for Inktober 2019, I started off with a series of thumbnails, and I did that for every single one pretty much, although I didn't do them all. So the first prompt was ring, and I just felt abstract for this one, so yeah, I went for this one here because it was more dynamic. It flowed along the central rule of thirds mostly, and I liked that one. I thought that was the most dynamic. So then I took it into a larger sketch, and this is on really cheap paper, it's not expensive, and these are the pens that I used, and these are really cheap, guys, super cheap, but they offer the effect of ink or getting those tones down that you might want when planning. But these were £3 for a pack, and they came in a pack of 6, and they go from black, there's like a dark blue, and there's various shades of grey, which I haven't. Can I get some more to hand? Yes I can, I spotted them all. So yeah, so a pack of 6. I do believe they were £3, and I'll just quickly show you what they look like. Let me paper it out. So this is what you've got. I'll just show you a couple. Here's the black, it's pretty solid black. The nibs are not so great, guys, they're really not, but you get what you pay for. But for saving on expensive ink in planning, these are great, and you've got a fine end as well. I quite like the fine liner end, it's good. However, I do believe these are, because they are so cheap, they are not archival, so just bear that in mind. So that is these pens here, these ones for the planning, the sort of second stage, and this is the final work. So yeah, I really like these. I do really like this. I kind of like this bit in the middle. That's sort of the gradient. I don't know, it's a bit odd. But yeah, I used Posca pen here. I used a finer one than this though, and Faber-Castell brush pens, ink pens, and these are really nice. You get like kind of, this one is SC, I'm not sure what that means, but you kind of go like really fine, and then you can go, if you press down and get a thick line, although it's a bit wobbly, and you can kind of vary the line weight as well, which is pretty cool. And then you get some in the line that are obviously a bit stiffer, and you can get a more even line. I say more even, it depends. So good. So good. And then the next prompt was mindless. This was the sort of middle sketch, and I did this one I did it in pencil. Didn't really fancy doing the inks. I wanted to be more. And this was the final piece. And she's got glittery eyes. I decided to dump the top here. I thought the shape language here was a bit too deters from this. Instead I just put a bit black. I'm not sure what this big black thing is around here. I'm assuming I was trying to draw a top at the time, like a top, like I don't know, break it up a bit. I don't know, but she's got silver ink in the hair too. This stuff, the camera. This stuff is great. Liquitex. It's great, guys. I love it. Please remember, if you've got to shake it every so often, even if it's sat in your drawer, keep it, together. When you go in your drawer, grab the bottles, shake it. Okay, that's mindless. Yeah, I really like mindless. Yeah, I just love the brains, the slash hair. Next one. Okay, the next one here's a little one, and this one is, so I didn't do bait, I went and did freeze. And these are little snowdrops. They're so cute. This paper is watercolor paper I used is slightly different. It had more of a toned look, but not like kind of like cream. Does that make sense? This is obviously sumi ink, fine liners, and there's Posca pens in this one, and I love Posca pens. Yeah, Posca pens I'll put a lot. Yeah. Okay, next set. Right. So the next one that I did was build, and there was no in-between sketch for this. I just went for it, and this is the one that we did here. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like buildings, but with like a cross between tartan. Yeah, I really like this one. I still really love this. If you guys don't know, yes, I am primarily a fantasy artist, but back in my early days I was into abstract, and I still like abstract, but I tend to do it now as a mind dump. They're almost a bit like a diary in some ways, because they capture certain feelings but that I can't really capture when I'm doing fantasy work. I don't know, it's really hard to explain, but yeah. Okay, so the next one that I did for this section was husky, and I went for this design in the end, but I decided to add an extra wolf in the final piece. There was no in-between sketch with this. I went straight into it, and I used a reference here. I will try and find it and maybe put up a picture for you guys. Yeah, I think my favourite part is this ring. I spent a long time on this ring, and I think the reason I burned out on some of Inktober in 2019 was because some pieces I went really detailed and in depth with, and this is one of those pieces. I mean, look at the fur, there's several layers of fur going on there. I mean, I really do love it. Yeah. Okay, next one. I think, yes, I didn't do Enchanted and I didn't do Frail on that one. And then we've got, this is where I burned out a little bit, I think. Yeah, I didn't do any of these. I didn't do Wild, Ornament or Misfit. I didn't do Sling, I didn't do Thread. And the next one that I actually did was, I didn't do Swing, I did Pattern. And these were a couple of ideas that I went with and I didn't like, and then I decided to do a Celtic knot because it's effectively, you know, a pattern, but I embellished it a little bit, and my family's Celtic, so I thought it was appropriate. This is Sumi Ink Fine Liner and Poscas. Yeah, I still like this one. This one has some feelings to it. Okay. And I didn't do snow. Okay, next one. I did do dragon, but unfortunately I don't have the in-between sketch and the original piece. That is actually with somebody else now. So I do have ash though, which that was the in-between sketch for it. And this is the finished product. So I went and I did a phoenix. As you can tell, I got some steam back here. This is heavily detailed. You see there's quite a lot of layers in the ink there. And then, so that was ash. And then the next one is overgrown. And this is a speed paint in my, one of my first videos that I did on the channel. That is on there as my artist introduction. No in between sketch with this, I went straight into it, and this is where I used the red calligraphy ink. I've had this sat around in my studio for years, guys, and at one time I did get into calligraphy for a little bit, but I just wanted to use it. It's still good, you know, so yeah, that was for the flowers. Legend, okay, I did Legend as well, and this was the in-between sketch for Legend. We went for a unicorn, and I was actually thinking about the movie at the time. If you guys have ever seen Legend, it's a bit cheesy, but I still love it. Anyway, it was kind of thinking about that, and yeah, okay. And then this is the final piece for Legend. I still really like this piece. I really wish in some ways that I hadn't done so much detail down here, and maybe more centralised it and had the similar to the wolf one, and had them going around the ring. I still like this this sketch. Out of all the sketches I did for Inktober that year, was my favourite, my absolute favourite. I just love how flowy the lines are. I very rarely get my sketches to go like that. So, okay, the next one. Decided to go for, I think these thumbnails were a bit different, because I just went in with black ink and pretty much coloured the whole thing, and then went in with like a white Posca. Yeah. Because I wanted something that's quite contrasty. So I went with the candle in the end, and this is the final result. I decided to, for this piece, just pick a still life. I found one on Unsplash randomly, because I think this kind of lighting situation is really hard to do. So I decided to do a still life study. Well, I say still life study picture. You know, if you want to do still life, you do proper still life. But yeah, anyway, I didn't do coat. I wanted to do a coat of arms, but I never did it. I didn't do ride, and I didn't do injured. And then the next set, or next ones, was I kind of burned out again. Oh, I skipped ahead here, sorry. Dark was like number 26, okay. Yes, I didn't do any of these anyway, that's why I probably didn't show you. So okay, the last few were catch and write, but I did both of these. Did some photo studies again. So I went completely not what I was going to do. These thumbnails, I decided not to do them. I went and did another thing. I did a, what are they called? Snapdragon, not snapdragons. Oh my god, they're not snapdragons. Venus flytrap. Where did I get snapdragons from? I mean, snapdragons are one of my favourite flowers, but I mean, come on. And then ripe, and that was another sort of photo still life / study. So yeah. Hello, it's Future Bale here, guys. I've had to speed this section of the video up, but this is some ink work that I did after Inktober, and a lot of this is completed work. Some of it is very sketchy, some of them are fails, and I think it's important to show some of these failures because that's what art is about. Not every piece is a finished piece. Oh, and I accidentally put that foxglove upside down. Yeah, sorry about that. And I think the piece that's the one that I really didn't like is coming up now. Yeah, this one. The cat was, oh, it's just so many things wrong with it. But you live and learn. I love that dress study. That is one of my favourites in this section. And the final piece is of the little lady that I'm going to finish in the future. So with that, guys, that is my ink work for 2019. My next video incoming is going to be for completed work in 2020, which will be watercolour. It will be watercolour work. So thank you guys very much for being here, and take care, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.